I'm going to be attempting to survive 100 days in a fantasy world. In this world, there are crazy new biomes, fantastical mobs, as well as many structures to be explored. I even have bosses trying to stop me from progressing in this world. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel to see me on my journey. It all helps so much, and we are almost at 150k. Now, like I've said before, sit back, relax, and enjoy as I take on 100 days in a fantastical world. Alright, we are day 1 in a fantasy world. I'm pretty sure I spawned inside of something I should not have. I started looking around and noticing pillagers and the fact that there was a wall kind of encasing me in. And before you say anything at all, yes, I spawned in with XP. I don't know how, I don't know why, but the only thing I've done is look around. So don't even come back on me later. I don't care. Now that I've settled that with y'all, it's time to actually just do regular Minecraft things. First things first was I punched a tree so I could get a wooden pickaxe. But before I even thought of making this wooden pickaxe, I had to get safe somewhere. My anxiety was going through the roof, so I tried to break into this birch building and see if there was any mobs inside. Thankfully, when I got in, I was creeping up and realized that there were 2 totems of undying on the wall. That means that I am set for 2 deaths while I'm in here, so I can take it a little bit unsafe. And then I made Minecraft history. I made a wooden axe before I made a pickaxe. I broke out and started looking at all of the pillagers I'm gonna have to either fight or evade to get the heck out of here. This place literally made like 0 sense to me. I don't know what's happening here, and I don't know why I spawned in it, but then my axe broke to vein miner, and now I have 2 stacks of birch basically. I literally have to be living in a fantasy at this point, because I don't even know what's going on. I bounced around on the trees and the mushrooms of this biome for a while until I found another totem room. And since these places do not have any mobs inside of them, which is probably a really big mistake, I'm just gonna go grab those extra 2. And now that I'm set with 4 extra lives, I made a break for the edge of the wall. I was able to jump over some pillagers who could not shoot for crap, and I left this place for now. Of course, there's gotta be more stuff in there, so I'm gonna come back eventually, but right now, I'm literally holding logs, and that is it. So the next step on our adventure is to get stone tools. Of course, I crafted the necessities and then headed off yet again. I stumbled upon some jolly llamas, and they looked so cute. It honestly just made my day just that much better. Then while swimming through this awesome new biome, I found a sunken ship and didn't really get much from it. I did try my best to mine it out so I could find more materials, but truly it wasn't worth that much time. I guess it's good that I have a bed because I can just sleep through the night now and not have to worry about mobs. And while I was sleeping the night away, I got a huge announcement from MX Rocks. Not only has the server added additional support to Bedrock, but they've added new minigames and updated their old ones. GTA now includes custom envoys, a bounty tracking system, and brand new houses to buy, including a skyrise tower. They've also gone ahead and added a custom raid boss that all of you guys can fight together and team up on. And don't worry, you can still take over Chinatown in a huge all-out gang war if you don't like the other players. And now the server also offers more game modes, including factions, which shows off brand new unique enchants, custom diamond armor, and even includes envoys. And trust me, these things are worth it. Just look at the guns you can get from them. You can even find custom boss mobs in the wilderness to fight. And there's even new gun PvP in the war zone. But I think I'm gonna keep myself safe over here in the factions hub. Heck, I might even take myself over to the minigame section so I can play some battle royale with y'all. At one point, I was even jumped by a guy with a jetpack. A jetpack in Battle Royale. But that didn't stop me from sealing the W and getting coins for custom kits I can use in later games. Then some guys even challenged me to a 5-on-5 team deathmatch game. They didn't even stand a chance. And after some serious playtime on the server, I would totally recommend you guys check this out. The IP is play.mxrocksgta.org, as well as it's linked down below in the description, and it's the pinned comment. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. This is for you, comment section. After I brutally murdered horses for leather, I found an underground village. These places are always very interesting to me because I never know how villagers actually live down here. And truly the best thing I was able to get was books from a library that was quarantined off. I mean, I don't have COVID, so I don't know what's really back here. Actually, I'm not gonna explore more. Once I was done stealing from the hopeless villagers, I found an abandoned village which had a ton of hay. And of course, I'm gonna be using this later for either food or breeding, so I grabbed as much of it as I could. Then I figured the beds here wouldn't be that great, so I placed down my own comfy comforter and slept the night away. The next day, I continued venturing out. I went biome after biome, ocean after ocean, boating trip after another, and didn't find anything super cool until I ran up on this desert house. Obviously, it was already preoccupied, but I was able to steal some things from the inside. Then I shared a bunk bed with Gertrude. By the way, don't ever do that, and slept the night away. I waved bye to my good pal Gertrude and kept exploring. In this world, anything can happen, and I was waiting for that. I strolled up on a tent village like a pillager and took everything from them. They had some pretty decent starter stuff for me, mostly iron and food, but I'll take it. Once my job was done, I started looking for more places to steal borrow from. I found a pirate ship stuck in the rocks and slowly made my way towards it. I figured my best way in was from the bottom, and the loot was kind of subpar in here. I later found a better chest and got some extra iron armor that was enchanted, but that's about it. After that, I conquered another boat. Again, I went in from the bottom and the loot was subpar, so I started making my way towards where I thought the treasure would be. However, a Vindicator almost one-shot me, and then I realized I had to be way more careful than I was being. Once I safely reached the loot, it was really subpar. I was hoping for some diamonds. Heck, you know, I've had some really good loot from places like this before, and this was just not it. All I did day 5 was craft up a backpack all the way to the tier of gold, and then circled all the way back through all the terrain that I've already walked to the pillager outpost thing. Once I got there, I made it to another totem area and was able to secure a couple more totems, and the eyes of the totems in this build were actually made of emeralds, so I snatched those up too. Then, after so many days of adventuring, I decided to try and find my own place to live. I found a really tall mountain biome and figured it'd be super cool, but since I do not have an elytra or a dragon or really any way of getting up there, I figured it's not the best bet. Eventually, after a little while, I finally settled on this hill. I don't know why I really like it here, but I think I can do something cool. And at this point, I'm going to try and make it as magical as possible, so I'm going to need a little bit more room later. Maybe I'll terraform, maybe I won't, but I think I need a rest for now. I've kind of been running around for a long time. But after waking up from that nap, I spent the next couple days working on a house. I started gathering materials, found some cows that have wool on them, but we'll talk about that later, and then started outlining a floor plan for this place. I think I can make it look really cool, and of course I'm going to add a tower, y'all know me, but I still don't have a perfect plan for the palette. Obviously I want to use spruce as that's what I'm already surrounded by and have a ton of, but there was another wood that I wanted. So I went into a nearby forest and grabbed ebony wood, which was a lot darker, and I didn't expect it to be that dark, but I kind of like the way it turns out with the roofing later. Then I just focused on the rest of the house. I drew from Better Minecraft episode 3 where I did a slanted roof house and decided to go with it. I used spruce for everything else except for the outline of the roof because, well, that's kind of why I grabbed ebony anyway. And of course I added minor details here and there, but basically the biggest part was doing this roof of the tower. I used ebony wood for it because, well, it's the roofing material, and I think it looks the best. As well as it gives this kind of dark, eerie vibe to it, and I don't know if I was exactly going for it, if I like it or not, but I'm gonna keep it. Now it's time for the interior. Obviously we have a really small house compared to normal, so I had to keep it minimalistic. I kept in the essentials, a place for my bed, some storage, and a kitchen. Each area will serve its purpose, and probably more than one purpose at this point, so yeah, I mean, I do know that the kitchen serves as a storage room later, so, I mean, to be fair, I'm not wrong here. But overall, it still looks really, really nice in here, and I'm kinda happy about it. I don't really build small, so that's, it's a pretty good build. And now that we have a home for ourselves set up, it's time to do some more exploring. I literally went in a straight line until I found something amazing. A mushroom biome, and it's not any mushroom biome. In this mushroom biome, there are specific mushrooms for like everything. I ended up finding gigantic mushrooms that give you like 8 bars of hunger. Okay, that's crazy. That's like 2 steaks. So I ran around this mushroom biome gathering as much as I possibly could. There was no way I was leaving here without extra food for the entire 100 days. And that's exactly what I did. I had so much food between the 2 separate gigantic mushrooms that I was able to get. Each of them still giving me 8 hunger bars each. I don't think I will ever be hungry again. While walking around in my adventurous phase, I ended up finding a very deadly structure. This thing was massive and stretched up very, very tall. Little did I know, it was a Pillager King Tower. I obviously slowly made my way inside, not knowing what to expect, especially since I'm in iron armor with only iron tools. The first level I looked at, the chests didn't seem to make much sense for like an actual tower. Like, you know, battle towers normally have cooler stuff than just some random blocks. But eventually, once I got up the tower, there were some people who were trying to greet me up there. Let's just say lots of bows and arrows and arrows and arrows. I got a lot of arrows from this place. I'm not exactly sure why, but I did. Oh, I'm not kidding. Look at these chests. The only loot I got on these levels was arrows for like the next 5 levels. Arrows. That was it. I'm kind of speechless. However, once I got to the very top, the loot changed. Although there did seem to be some very big guests at the top level. Thankfully, I buckled in and was on the side of the building and just didn't let this villager king get close to me while getting pelted by another pillager, but we won't talk about that. Then eventually I was able to bow the guy to death with a regular bow. Feels bad, bud. But in the chests at the very, very top, there was some very exquisite loot. Okay, imagine me like doing the whole French thing. I don't know. How do you do a French thing where it's like the exquisite, you know, exquisite? I don't know. Psh, I'm stupid. Anyway, the blocks around this place, the loot in the chests were actually pretty good. I was expecting something really bad, like more arrows, so I'm quite okay with this result. Oh yeah, and did I mention the fact that I now have god apples? Yeah, that's pretty epic. Day 1, we have Totems of Undying, and day 12, we have god apples. My last 2 days of adventuring were pretty exciting. First thing I strolled up on was a mushroom village right next to a desert temple. Of course, I looted the desert temple first, grabbed all the TNT, and looted all the chests. And then I moved my way over to the mushroom village, which was kind of uneventful. It's not that I have better loot than what's here, it's just that to find the little loot that is here, I'm gonna have to kill a lot of mobs, so I just kind of ran through it and checked it out. I remember this from my better Minecraft days, and this was probably one of the cooler places I visited, especially because of how it looks. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. Definitely a great magical mushroom village. From there, I found another underground village, which was pretty subpar. I mean, these things don't have any loot, but I still like looking at them, and somehow I accidentally started a raid. They never spawned though, so I guess I never completed the raid either, which is good, because I probably would have died. And to finish out my travels for these few days, I found another pillager place, but this one was guarded by something a lot more dangerous. There was a black iron golem in the top section of this build, which was also guarding a lot of chests surrounded an obby, so I knew it had to be decent loot. I bowed him from afar and then started checking out what was in this obby, and it actually wasn't near as good as I thought it was. The Villager King was much cooler than this guy and had way better loot, but I mean, you know what? I'll take it all at this point. I'm not planning on going mining for 20 days in this video, so all of this loot is much appreciated. Once I got back to home base, I started organizing everything that was in my backpack. Thankfully, I have a decently organized chest system throughout these 100 days, so it's not that bad. It gets pretty bad later. Then I started taking a look around my base and cleaning it up a bit, including adding a barn for these guys. These woolly cows really need their own home, so I'm gonna give them a semi-decent replica of mine. Come on, I gotta keep up with the theme. It's normal, right? Anyway, I made these guys a slanted roof barn just like me with my slanted roof house. Well, I have a tower. Okay, they don't have a tower. I'm cooler than them, okay, I swear. If y'all like the woolly cows more than me, I swear. It's fine, I got these guys in their new forever home, and they will never leave. It's okay, the landscape will get much better later, and they will love it. It's totally fine. I definitely don't slay them on a regular basis. Now on the next day, I decided to pretty up my area. I started out with a path, which was just gonna be out of the, what block is this? I'm just gonna call it a path block because that's literally all it's ever used for. And instead of doing huge texturing with the grass in this path block, I just decided to leave it as the path block because it kind of works. I don't normally just use this block itself, but I kind of like it a lot more in this area, and it's simple, so I don't have to do more work. Then I grabbed some leaves and added them to the path because, well, it looks a lot better, and all of these leaves are different colors, which is beautiful. Then I grabbed myself some fence posts and added them around the path so I could put lanterns on them to light my way, and final bit was a farm. Of course, I'm gonna have to feed these animals over time, right? I can't just always steal from villages, which is something I really want to do right now, but I can't always do that. So instead, I decided to make a farm with potatoes, carrots, wheat, all of the essentials, and then I can use that for my cows. Or sheep cows, sheep, woolly cow, sheep, these things that you guys are gonna like more than me. Anyway, after being a humble farmer for a day, I decided to go back out and adventure. I have no idea what this world has to offer me, so I was very excited to do so. Honestly, my main goal for this was to actually just go mining because I wanted more diamonds, as that's the only thing I can think about. Don't know why, just love diamonds. But instead ended up finding something way cooler. While strolling along, the water seemed to part a little bit differently, and there was a structure underneath. I went down below and checked it out, knowing I'm most likely going to get one shot by anything that touches me, so sneaking around is probably the better call, and found some piglin. But the interesting thing about these piglin were that they were wearing half netherite armor. Now, there were tons of spawners down here and tons of chests, which gave me very many things, including an aether dragon egg, but right now I'm more focused on the netherite. I spent literal days, hour plus of my life down here in this cavern with things that could kill me in an instant, farming them for netherite gear. There were so many of these things at some point, it just got so overwhelming, and there I just threw a cap across my desk from one of the pens. Oh god, I'll be back. Anyway, back to what I was saying about these piglin. They took a long time to kill. I mean, a long time to kill. Okay, you will not... A diamond sword was just not enough for that occasion. But it's okay, because we left with so much gear. Like, a ton of gear that I can combine together and get my own netherite set, or a few. I know it's only boots and a chest plate, but that's literally better than the iron that I have, and I didn't have to go netherite mining for it, which I do a lot in this episode, so I guess that was just a bonus for me. But my original task of mining was not complete, so I still had to do that, which is exactly what I spent my life on for the next few days. I wandered around looking for a surface cave and then eventually got so bored that I just mined straight down. And I know in regular Minecraft it's a rule to not mine straight down, especially now that we have 1.18, but we're in better Minecraft and I figured it'd be even more unsafe, so I did it. Once I found my own cave, I made some torches and then started exploring, so well, you guys could see. Since we're only on day 20, I was gathering everything I could, which included iron and coal. I know they're a little bit basic, but for now, I'm gonna need them. Once I got lower, there seemed to be like an archaeologist skeleton who gave me blindness. I have no idea who this guy is, but he was very tough. And since I'm still in basically half iron, I was just gonna bow this guy for a while. Actually, I was gonna bow everything for a while, because there was no way I was going to attempt to fight anything from better Minecraft while only in iron. While mining, I got scared by very many mobs, including this large tortoise, which didn't seem to want to hurt me, so I just left him there. But later, while mining even more ores, I realized there was no diamonds down here. But then I remember the real kicker about this mod pack: the deep dark. Yep, that's right. There's the deep dark in this, which means there's wardens, which means there's the skull zombies, whatever they're called, and, well, a lot of scary things. So if my adventure was going to include diamonds, I was going to need to go down there. And to do so, I dug straight through the deep slate and then teleported directly into the deep dark. I spawned in a little room with some blocks that I didn't know what did, and I was very terrified. I wasn't sure whether or not I had to go down, I had to go left, right. I know nothing about this dimension, which this is technically a dimension right now. And every block in here literally scares the crap out of me. I don't know if it spawns something. I don't know if I have no idea about this dimension whatsoever. So everything terrified me, but I eventually made it to a cave. This place was not only scary, terrifying, traumatic, but also beautiful. And it had a warden. I shot every single arrow I had left at it, and it still didn't kill it. It also didn't alert the thing though, so I think it goes off a sound, right? And as soon as I thought that, I stepped on a skulk sensor, which I'm pretty sure that's what that's called, and probably alerted something. However, not knowing how to survive this thing, I decided to make an entire room for myself so that I could hit him where he couldn't hit me. Then I attracted him over and saw if I could kill him or not. Eventually, after a lot more hits than I really wanted, I was able to kill the man, which I won't lie was pretty cool, okay? I've never killed the warden nor seen him, and even in this mod pack alone, this is pretty sick. Once he died, he dropped some pretty cool things, but the best was the warden horn. I'm definitely keeping this for later as a trophy, because I just killed the warden and I literally didn't even have to get hurt. And now that this dimension's champion has been defeated, it's time to gather all the diamonds I need. So I walked around this dimension for a long time, gathered as many diamonds as I possibly could, and let's just say it is really easy to find them down here. I mean, later when I find like giant mega builds, those have diamond blocks in them, but if I took Fortune, went back in this dimension, and just mined for like an hour, I would probably have an infinite supply of diamonds. They were literally everywhere in here, but I didn't need too many, so I left after I had everything I wanted. Thankfully, I am out of the deep dark, and it's time to return home. Now that I'm back to base camp, it's time to start making an enchantment setup. I'm at 50 levels, which means we can get most of our gear all level 30'd and we will be set for a long time. So to do that, I had to pick an area for it, and I picked right outside the door to my house because, well, this rose garden can be taken down. It's nice, but I would rather progress in the game instead of look at something pretty. However, base camp gets a lot better looking later, so I guess I do kind of prioritize prettiness over the game. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. We have an enchantment set up now, and I can just enchant however I wish. Speaking of enchanting, I got prop 4 on some netherite boots, and then prop 4 Unbreaking 3 on my diamond pants, which was pretty neat. Then I got Unbreaking 3 prop 4 on some boots, and since there's no prop 5, that was pretty useless. Unfortunately, I got fire protection 3 on my helmet and blast protection on my chest plate, so things were not going too great, but at least now I have some enchantment. It's truly better than nothing. And now that my armor and tools are looking really nice, I figured I could travel into the nether. I've always been able to survive really easily in the nether, so how bad could the spawn be? Okay. Yeah, you see in the top left where it says day 26 and 27? Yeah, that's how long it took me to make a staircase down. I spent 2 days in Minecraft making a single staircase in the nether because I spawned on the ceiling. It wasn't fun, but eventually I got down and I was able to finally explore the nether. There were a few things I saw while building, so I was very excited. While building that staircase, I noticed that there was an end ship, but for the nether. It was floating above the lava, and I really wanted to check it out. Unfortunately, to get to where I had to go, some blaze started spawning out of one of these pillars. I don't know if there was a spawner inside, which I wasn't going to try and get to, but they were really annoying. Yes, I do have 2 god apples, but at the same time, I don't think it's really worth it risking one of those just to get over to this place. I don't even know what's over here. I mean, if it's an elytra, then I'm totally down, but right now, I have no clue. So instead, I decided to start building a safety bridge all the way over, and it took me way too freaking long because this netherite pickaxe does not insta-break any of this netherrack. But eventually, I did make it over there and got into this place, which had a ton of wither skeletons in here, but they weren't really that much of a challenge. Once I got down below in the ship, I noticed a pair of netherite boots. I don't exactly know what this is gonna do for me, but as soon as I hit it off the wall, I realized why it sucks so much. This thing has every amazing enchant a single boot could have, except Curse of Binding and Vanishing. If you guys know how to remove these and still keep my enchants, that would be really cool. I doubt you can, but you know what? Maybe. Then I made my way over to a piglin outpost, which is literally a pillager outpost, but in the nether. I also got 2 netherite scraps from it, so that was pretty useful. After that, I also noticed a jungle temple floating above the lava, but obviously we're in the nether, so I was very intrigued on what this thing could have. Yeah, let's just say it wasn't even worth my time at all. However, only looting 3 buildings in the entire nether and getting all the stuff that I got, it was a pretty useful trip. Let's just hope every trip in the nether is worth this much. Then, thinking that I was really geared up now, I decided to go back to that original pillager outpost that I spawned in. I figured there was going to be a lot more loot there, especially since I only ever looted those totem places. So I went back there and fought off every single pillager there was. I mean, I took them all on. I was not scared whatsoever. My armor was good enough, probably. Probably. So yeah, I took them all on. I had no fear. Even the Ravengers themselves were scared by me, okay? I had absolutely no fear, never got low once, not at all in my entire life, and looted the entire place. I found one section where every single barrel or every other single barrel had stuff in it, and I was able to leave with like almost a stack of god apples. Okay, that's crazy. I didn't realize the place that I spawned in was gonna have so much amazing gear, but I'm so glad we went back. Totems were not the only thing that we got out of this place, and I'm so excited to organize all of this amazing loot. Overall, I left there with stacks of ores, over 42 separate pieces of enchanted armor, tons of books, and 8 totems of undying. I honestly don't know how this place is so overpowered, but I swear if I can find another place like this, I will be set for more than 100 days. I'll be set for 1,000 days. And speaking of more days, I went back into the nether to see if I could get some levels. If you noticed from a previous clip, I was actually taking the enchantments off of items and putting them on books, but that requires XP, which now that I don't have any, I need more. So I spent an entire day in the nether trying to find as much quartz as I could because, well, I don't really have a farm yet. Would have been cool to have some sort of XP farm by now, but we're only on day 30, so, you know, low expectations. While I was actually recording this video, I was in calls with multiple people throughout this entire recording process, and perhaps during this call, I found this weird beetle guy, and Allie wanted to keep it. If you guys don't know who Allie is, she's a baby police in my Discord, and she really liked this guy, so I decided to grab a lead and take him all the way home. I'm not gonna lie, the blue beetle was actually quite cool, but I just don't think on my own I would have ever taken him home. However, I do end up making my base like an animal sanctuary, so I guess it was a good call by her. Eventually, when I got him home, I named him Perry because, well, he was kind of the same color as Perry the Platypus, and he was not a platypus, but I really don't care. He's Perry the Platypus now. Fun fact, to this very day, Perry is still chained to this fence. I mean, not chained. He's free to move. He can move. It's fine. He's not in like a cage like all these cows. It's not a cage. They'd love it. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to dig myself a bigger hole here, aren't I? The next day, all I truly worked on was some enchanting, as well as hung out with Perry. He's my new pet, and we're going to chill for the entire day, basically. Oh yeah, no, I'm serious. I worked on enchants the entire day. I really needed to get my stuff much better than it was. Day 37, you're going to find a bit crazy, but I went on the hunt for a blue flower for Perry. Now that I think about it, it could be a she, so the flower could have been nice. I really don't know. I just wanted more decoration around my land. Eventually, I found a blue-ish flower that said Forget-Me-Not as the name, so I of course had to take it back to Perry. I put it in a pot and then gave it to Perry, and I think he and or she really likes it. Then, upon arriving home, I figured I should get more landscape. I don't have a ton of area around here, so I wanted to terraform some land. I spent the entire day making this little area like a little bit better of a cliff for myself, and it ended up looking okay. Not that anyone else is gonna see it because I'm up here and not down there, so I'll never look at it from a bad angle, so I probably could have literally left it looking terrible and never saw it again, but that's not how we do things here. So I decided to work on my land extension by adding in a blueberry field. I know that's a little crazy, but yeah, there are blueberries in this mod pack. It's basically just the sweet berry bushes, but blue. As well as they still prick you, so I don't know why I did this, but some little birdie whispered in my ear, and you know what? Now I have a blueberry field. After that, I started working on my first pen for one of my dragons, the Aether Dragon. I've honestly never tried to build a dragon pen before, and I had no idea how big this thing was going to grow, so I just tried to be accommodating. I think it looks really nice, and I just hope it's going to fit this thing, because at this point, I am not too sure. Maybe I should have gotten Perry to do the measurements. He's an animal. He'll probably understand better than me. And now that we've done some base work, I decided to start looking into some armor sets. Now, of course, there's going to be different armor from vanilla Minecraft, because obviously we're in a fantasy world, so we get some upgraded netherite as one of the things I'm working towards. And with that upgraded netherite, you get like power-ups and kind of just these effects that you can never get rid of. So that's what I really want. But for now, I just need regular netherite armor to upgrade to that type of netherite. So for the next couple days, I spent mining in the nether. Okay, it's not fun, but I did it. Unfortunately, my time in there was literally terrible. I did, yes, find a mine shaft, which I didn't realize was in the nether, but at the same time, it didn't help me at all finding ancient debris, and I left with basically nothing. Let's just hope my next trip in here is going to be a lot better. And eventually came a lot sooner than I thought. I was already fed up with the fact that I didn't have netherite, and that was my goal. Why did I leave the nether? I have no clue. But I went straight back in and started mining yet again. This time I stayed away from the mine shaft and just tried to do some strip mining. Thankfully, throughout this entire process, I was getting way more netherite than I could have expected and left the entire thing with 26 ancient debris, which not only means that I can change my current armor all to netherite, but I can already start on the process of upgrading to the next set of armor. The reason the next set of armor is so important is because I'll be going for featherite, which basically means I won't take as much fall damage and I can double jump, walk on water, and lava. Like, those things are insane, okay? Think about that. You're in netherite armor, you come across a lava lake, and you just walk over it. That's something we've always wanted in regular Minecraft, so yeah, I was pretty hyped for this. Then I noticed that I was back down to level 3, and I headed back into the nether so that I could get up my levels. And since I had just gotten a vein mining pickaxe, I figured I'd run through the nether with a vein miner and just see how much quartz I could actually get. Once I was done mining out a ton of the nether, I went back to the overworld and placed all my quartz and then mined it without having the vein miner silk touch pickaxe. Overall, I got a decent bit of levels, and then I just went back through and did some base work, including naming my new Aether Dragon Ace. Then I leashed her up because I figured she'd fly away on me. After that, I finished up the day by upgrading my backpack to a better tier, which means exploration is going to be a lot more fun. But I went back to spending my days trying to get this featherite armor. And to craft this featherite armor, I'm going to need 16 feathers, 4 per piece of netherite. Since there were barely any chickens in sight, I went around looking for things that would fly, so, you know, inherently they'd have feathers. I killed any crows that I found, as well as a ton of roadrunners in the desert. They were probably the easiest to find, but again, chickens would have been a lot better. Then once I returned home, I crafted all of my feathers and netherite into featherite ingots. Then I was able to take off all of my armor, very risky in hardcore Minecraft, and craft myself featherite armor. Now that I have this set on, I have an amazing buff. I take less fall damage, I can walk on water and lava, as well as I have the ability to double jump. So what did I do the first thing? I walked over to the water and just walked on it. I can't believe that. That's crazy. I was able to double jump and walk on water. That's something that no one else will be able to do in Minecraft. So yeah, this set of armor is amazing. As soon as I realized that I have an amazing set of armor, I decided to take on my first boss. And I know that I'm gonna butcher this name, but it's Furusratna? I have no idea. I know that like one of the words means iron or something like that, and this guy definitely classifies as made of iron. The fight was a lot more interesting than I thought, but since I had this double jump machine, I was able to avoid almost every single attack. And then when he did that one special attack that made me able to hit him, I was getting serious damage on this guy. Eventually, after many double jumps later and a ton of avoidances, I was able to finally kill this man. This guy did hit like a truck, but overall, I was able to beat this guy without any problems at all. And as soon as I was done, I was able to get his helmet and his axe. Of course, I'm not going to be using these in the series, but they're really cool trophies to have. Then when I returned home, I checked my quest book, and it looks like I was actually able to get a nether star. I don't know why, but I'm not going to be planning on using this for a beacon. Reason being, because one of these sets of armor that I want requires nether stars, so I'm just going to save that for now. Then I gave myself a day break and decided to start fishing, because I'm going to have to tame Ace, aka the Aether Dragon, at one point, and I'm going to need fish for that. So I spent the whole day just casually fishing, and yeah, I stood on top of the water for this. Come on, like, I can't not do that now. Then the next day, I was finally able to tame Ace and take her out for a spin. I've never flown a dragon before, especially since none of the mod packs that I've ever played have had dragons, so I'm so hyped to be in this fantasy world. We got to fly around for literally ever. The entire day was just spent in the air with Ace, and it was so much fun. I cannot wait to see all the other dragons that we have, because I'm definitely going to collect them all like Pokemon. After a long day of flying, I landed at a little bit bigger of a pillager outpost and decided to take that entire place on. Since I could literally just double jump around, I was having the time of my life taking on every single annoying pillager there was. And since I had already conquered the other pillager outpost that was just massive, the one that I spawned in, I was a little angry that I didn't have any of these fun guys around, so yeah, I stomped them all. There was nothing in here worthwhile, but it was still fun to take all these guys on. Then after getting Bad Omen, I tried to start a raid and nothing would spawn. I don't know why, but I guess raid isn't gonna work for me today. Then I ended up finding an entire tower dedicated to villagers, which I hate villagers, but at the same time, I don't have any, so this place could be useful to waypoint for now. I'll come back here later and do a ton of stonks, or just get books, because I have a lot of emeralds already, but still, stonks are fun. Then once I got home, I went ahead and made an area for my water dragon, which you guys didn't actually see me collect, but it was from that pillager area. I wanted to go with more of a lighter theme because, well, water is a bit different than Aether, and honestly, for Aether, I could have done a lot better than what I did, so I decided to start customizing these pens per dragon. And overall, I think it looks really nice, and I'm excited to have a water dragon. So day 52, I wanted to test out all that this armor can do. I know that it's supposed to be able to make me walk on water, which it does, and it's supposed to also help with fall damage. But what about lava? And if it was true, I was going to test it out. So I went to the nether and then literally jumped off my bridge to see if not only I would die to fall damage or if I would burn in lava. Only one of those came true. Yeah, I did burn in lava, but at the same time, if I walk over lava, I'm still technically touching it, which makes sense, but I'm still able to walk on it. That's pretty cool for me, at least. I'm totally fine with having this armor, and this armor only for the rest of these 100 days. Then I spent the rest of my day corralling villagers so that I could eventually get a mending book. These guys are extremely annoying, and if you know me with villagers, I have very little patience, so it was a very frustrating day. And thanks to their cruel antics, it wasn't the only day I had to deal with these guys. And while looking for mending, I ended up finding a book called Volcanic Mark, and I was very intrigued by this, so I decided to buy it. I know that basically wasted a villager, but at this point I'm just intrigued by these new enchants. And then I decided to make another poor life choice and get Wither God, which I have no idea what it does, but I really don't care, because I'm gonna buy it anyway and not get mending ever. Smart decisions from your boy. And then I continued wasting more villagers by buying even more enchants that I most likely can't even pronounce, and I'm not going to try this one. Although if I was able to apply this to my sword, which later I figured out I couldn't, it would be a really cool enchant. Then I spent the remainder of the day dealing with Joella, who didn't seem to care about my feelings for mending at all, and just stiffed me. Then the next day, I finally got her to give me mending. I think I bought 4 books of mending just to get the stuff on my armor because I was already so fed up dealing with this woman. Then I got back home and my water dragon had hatched and hung out with Ace for a little while. So I grabbed a lead and put that thing back where it goes, grabbed a name tag, and renamed it Allie. Just because of how hyperactive this thing was. Maybe eventually when I tame her, she will not try and kill me, but at this point, I feel like she has a knife underneath one of her scales. So, realizing that Ace was the better dragon, I decided to take her out again for another spin. We ventured far and wide, but the best thing we kind of came up upon was another gigantic villager camp. However, it was nothing like any of the other ones that we've seen. It didn't have near as much loot, nor was it as fun, but yeah, I killed all the pillagers because I have nothing else to do. I also have a very big grudge against them, since I did kind of spawn right next to all of them on day 1. I am out to get them all. After that, I found another mega build that I decided to climb up. Again, the loot in this place isn't very nice, especially since I already have a ton of netherite stuff, so it's not great, but they are kind of fun to explore. as well as using my double jump feature to go from chest to chest was quite exciting. And as I've told you before, I've always had people in the call while I record these videos, and Allie was listening in, so I decided to give her a little scare and jump off the mega build. Of course, I water bucket clutched. Like, come on, who do you think I am? I'm not gonna miss one of those. Then after exploring that mega build, I found another one. This was the one that was in the sky, and it didn't really have a ton of loot, but I did get 2 ancient debris from it. Then we came across this gigantic monastery, which I don't know what it's called, but I'm gonna say it because I have a 50-50 shot here. And the loot at the very, very top, which is where I decided to look first, was pretty meh. I mean, valuables are always nice, but again, it just wasn't truly worth my time, so I was finally ready to head home with Ace. Day 58, I spent researching those books that I got from the villagers, the ones with the orange names. Unfortunately, I need a certain type of anvil for those, and I don't currently possess that type of wood. But the next few days, I wanted to look for that wood in the nether, so that's what I did. I went around looking on the nether ceiling for this pyro wood. Unfortunately, I was not able to find it the entire time I was in here. The only thing I did truly find was some bastions. And bastions in themselves are kind of okay. They're not super fun for me, and at the same time, I don't really need what they give me. So, of course, I did loot them, but again, it wasn't that fun, and I didn't really care to look for all the loot or all the gold blocks, because I was way more focused on trying to find this pyro wood. 2 days later, and the trip was unsuccessful. But not a waste of time or anything like that. I still got to enjoy the nether. Then, after that unenlightening trip, I decided to build another thing for our little cozy cottage area. Since I'd been beating a lot of bosses and taking down a lot of names, you know, kicking names and taking butt, Guardians of the Galaxy reference, by the way, I decided I would make a trophy tower for all of my achievements. So, of course, it started out with terraforming because, well, otherwise I'm not going to have the land for it. I kind of chose a really small area to build. But then later I did start work on the tower. So for the tower, I decided to start with a very bottom built out of spruce. I wanted to make it more of a medieval tower because, I mean, obviously that's what I do, but I also didn't want it to be large on the inside. So I flip-flopped the materials and decided to have wood coming out of the ground, like kind of making the base of the tower, while cobblestone was on the inside. Then I towered up with cobblestone, made some windows, and then had to readjust the roof a couple times before I really liked it. After that, we had a functioning tower, but of course we gotta add details to it, so I went around with some leaves, acacia bushes, or what are these called? Acacia, not acacia, wait a minute, azalea bushes, leaves, wait, I don't know. And then the tower itself was finally done. Yep, I'm really good at explaining things, that's why you subscribe, haha, do that. Then I decided to put some item frames inside of this tower and add the things that were most important to me, including things that happened when I killed the warden, finding Pigstep, and of course, this Ferreris Rotnot stuff. I have no idea who this guy is, still can't say his name. Then the rest of the day I just spent on chores, because I am very boring. And now for the next 2 days, I have my eyes set on my next set of armor. I already have Featherite, but I want Blazerite now. Blazerite? Blazerite? I don't know. But the reason I want this armor is, well, I mean, actually, I can already walk on lava, but this one will let me survive it, so I figured it'd be fun. So I went back into Nether and started netherite mining for quite some time. I ended up getting 12 pieces of ancient debris on my own, but then I found a trader who gave me 1 extra ancient debris for every 4 that I gave him, so I walked out of there with 15 scrap. I'd say that was a pretty successful day for your boy. Then after I collected all of that netherite, I decided it was time to craft my blaze armor. Yeah, I've given up on saying blazerite because I don't think that's right. So I went back to my local nether fortress and decided to farm up all the blazes that I needed so I can finally make that armor. After I got back, I was finally done with my second set of upgraded armor. I'm so happy I have 2 of these now. I don't know why, but I'm collecting this set, all right? We're doing that Pokemon thing, but with armor and dragons. It's so cool. And after achieving a really high goal of getting 2 sets of upgraded netherite armor, I decided it was finally time to defeat one of the regular bosses in Minecraft. That's right, the Ender Dragon. To do that, I went ahead and used all of the pearls that I've gathered so far, which is definitely not enough for the portal, but enough to get me there, and I traveled all the way there so I knew where it was. From there, I did end up trading with a villager for these pearls because I had noticed that Endermen don't spawn as often as I would have wanted. Then after that, it was a hop, skip, and the jump to get me straight into that portal. The dragon fight itself was extremely simple. I took out all the crystals and then waited for the dragon to perch. However, even in this fantasy world, it had way more health than regular Minecraft, so surprisingly, it was a little bit tougher. Obviously, you guys have seen a ton of dragon fights, so I didn't show you the whole thing, but let's be honest, this dragon was a lot harder than the regular Minecraft dragon. But once I finally finished the fight, I got all that XP and then headed straight for that elytra. I was wasting no time, except for the fact that it took me way too much time to try and find this thing. The first end city I came up on did not have a balloon, or, well, a blimp, or, well, a ship. However you guys want to say it, you guys know that in the fantasy mod pack, of course, I'm gonna have those awesome end cities, so yeah, there was no blimp. Honestly, the coolest thing I get from this stuff is all the end city loot that I probably won't even use, but I can get shulkers. So yeah, I went up this thing and grabbed all the stuff that I could. It wasn't great because I was focused on that elytra, so I kept searching. Eventually, after days upon days, biome after biome, I finally found a blimp. It appeared on my minimap and I was so excited. I instantly made my way over to the ship and grabbed all of the loot, including the elytra. I'm so happy I finally have this thing. It makes me, like, feel safe in the end, and you know what? It's just really cool to use. And since I was not planning on staying here for any more days after everything that's already happened, I was getting out of there as soon as I possibly could with the nearest end gateway. By the time I got home on day 78, I had so many items, so I had to spend an entire day organizing them all. I came back with a ton of armor that I started turning into boots, a ton of loot that I had to organize in chests, and at some point I realized I need more storage. This base is not big enough for everything that I've gathered thus far, and I know that I'm going to eventually start disorganizing all of this. Then the next day, I started work on the Ender Dragon area. Yes, I did get the dragon egg, but I also got a hatchable Ender Dragon egg, so I of course had to make them their own habitat that they could live in alongside Ace and Allie. I decided to start work with Endstone as well as this weird purple thing I found in the end, and I think it makes it look really, really nice. Then I did the floor and added some other things that I found in the end and made it look even cooler than nice. Then I put my dragon egg down, and now we just have to wait. I'm really excited for this dragon because well, you know, I've killed it, so I should probably grow it again, I guess. Then, while reminiscing about my trophies, I realized that there was another boss that I could easily get to, and that is the guy from the savannah, King, Big Belly. So I decided to venture off to see if I could find this guy, and eventually, while flying around, I did. I had ventured long and hard beforehand, but I didn't realize he was this close to my base. Then when I started fighting him, I didn't realize how low I would get while doing so. I mean, he had some interesting attacks, and I couldn't hit him as much as I thought I could. I used my bow a lot, I used my sword for the close combat stuff, and man, this guy's got a big belly. And the worst part about it was he kept healing over and over again for literally no reason. That's just unfair. But I did eventually slay King Big Belly, and it was so much easier than I could have expected. Totally easy, not hard at all. And I got his mask, which I was going to easily add to my trophy collection because, well, you know what? I'm just a menace to society at this point. Then on my flight home, I ran into a much cooler mega base. I got the achievement Enter Sandman when I got here, and this thing was humongous and not near as ugly as all the other mega bases I've seen. Plus, the chests that were in, like, the offset areas weren't even that bad, so I was totally down looting this entire thing. At one point, I did kind of get stuck in a fountain with a ton of mobs that literally wouldn't die, but you know what? That's besides the point. And after exploring for literal days, like not hours because it didn't take that long, so more like literal half hours, then I finally found the treasure room. This was the best room ever. There was so much amazing stuff in here. Then it turned into me dropping down into a vault that was guarded by wither skeletons, so I had to take all of those guys out before I got all my rewards. But once I had all that done, I started looting all of the chests, which had tons and tons of materials in them, as well as netherite swords, netherite boots, anything netherite, okay? It was crazy. I mean, I'm still attracted to diamonds, so, you know, if you show me a shiny thing, then I'll grab that. But it also had a ton of diamond blocks, gold blocks, emerald blocks. Like, this thing was crazy. I don't even know how you, like, how you process this. I didn't process this at all. This thing is amazing. Like, do you remember that other mega build with all those phantom flying things around? That was nothing compared to this. Literally nothing. This had netherite swords in it. Then while exploring some more, I found a chest with 11 netherite scraps in it. 11. That is crazy. And then, of course, I found another chest with even more netherite scraps in it. Like, this place was epic. And after being overloaded by the amount of loot that was there, I finally headed home. I was so excited. I couldn't even wait for the organization part of all this. Speaking of organization, that's what I did the next day, which I'm currently showing you a time-lapse of because there was way too much for me to show on camera. It does get boring at some points, but look at all the shinies. Then for the next day, I wanted to get another set of armor. This one was the Phantom armor because it takes away all fall damage. So what I had to do was go back into the end and go to that airship that had the spawners for Phantoms. Yeah, flying all the way back there was not fun, but once I got there, I started farming as many Phantoms as I could. I needed a total of 16, and I feel like I already had a ton at home, so maybe like 11, and I only needed 5 from here, so it wasn't that bad, but at the same time, Phantoms don't drop as much as I wanted. However, I did get what I needed, and I went back home. And of course, as I got home, I decided to make my Phantorite set, okay? This thing was unenchanted, so obviously we're gonna have to get levels for it soon, but right now, I'm just so happy having another set of armor. That's 3 of 8, baby. And now that I have another set, I figure adventuring should go on hold just for a little while, so I gathered materials to make my own island. We have Ace, who is our Aether Dragon, we have Allie, who is our Water Dragon, and we have Boo, which I renamed recently, and sorry, I forgot to show you, who is our Ender Dragon. But we also have 2 other types, Fire and Ghost, so we're gonna have to make another area just for them. So an island was my next goal. First things first, I started outlining the thing after gathering all the materials I needed for it, and then later realized I needed more materials for it because I did really big outline. But that's okay, because I have nothing else to do with my time other than just make an island. Haha, funny moment. After having the outline of the island done, I figured the hardest part was going to be going around and terraforming it into the current landscape below. I did take out an island just to put my own here, but it still is technically floating, so I had to go around underwater and create it so that it didn't actually float on its own. And trust me, this is not a fun process. You do not want to do this. But by the end of the day, it looks like we have a functioning island. That's a success to me. Now on day 87, I spent my entire time in the nether. I was mining obby and obby glass, which, I mean, you guys know that obby means obsidian, right? Basically, for the ghost dragon, I wanted to have some really cool blocks for it, and I thought these translucent obby blocks were perfect. Although every single one of them took forever to mine, so yeah, that took up most of the day. And then once I got home, I started working on the fire dragon pen, which I used a lot of material for, but it was mostly nether stuff. And overall, it's a lot of red, but I think it looks extremely well, and I hope whatever I name the fire dragon will like it. Day 88, I put down the fire dragon egg and then realized that it turned green. I don't know what was going on with this thing, but it was definitely not healthy. So what did I do? I pushed it right next to a magma thing, hoping that that would heat it up. I actually had no idea if this would work or not, and it did. It actually did work. Then I made the ghost dragon's pen, but realized that I ran out of obby so freaking quickly. So I had to go back into the nether and get even more of this stuff. It was brutal, but by the end of the day, I finally had a place for my ghost dragon to hatch. Then to finally finish off the entire island, I had to make a bridge from my previous plot of land to this new area. I used campfires and slabs to make it a little bit easier of a drop down, but I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world. It's still okay though. Then both dragons hatched while I was doing this and started following me around. So I named both of them, aka Spicy for the fire dragon and Morgan for the ghost dragon. Okay, I don't need to explain these. But the worst part was that I had no leads, so I can't just let them go somewhere. They are currently attached to my hip, and they won't leave me alone. The worst part about this day was at the very end of the day, Spicy suffocated in a wall somehow. I don't understand how she did this, but we lost our first dragon. I was truly devastated, but thankfully I had another fire dragon egg, so Morgan was not going to be alone on the island. And again, I put it right next to the magma and hoped that this thing would hatch soon. And then since I did not have any leads, my next 2 days were spent actually babysitting the dragons and just doing chores. I had to babysit Morgan first, but then Spicy came along and I had to babysit her too. The worst part was that I had no leads until the very end of day 91, where I was finally able to craft some leads and then continue my 100 days. Speaking of that, I kind of forgot to record some of this part. Yeah, I know, call me a bad YouTuber, but I was recording at like 5 a.m., alright? Relax. It also happens again at another point, so we'll talk about that when that happens. But basically, I'm making an Enderman farm. You guys already know what, like, this process is, so actually, you guys didn't miss out on anything at all. Actually, the only thing you need to know is that this thing works. I mean, it's not as effective as regular Minecraft, because I think there's a mod in here that, like, kind of doesn't make it work as well. But still, it's a really nice Enderman farm, and I've always built this exact design, so you guys already know all about it. Therefore, you don't even need me to tell you everything that happens. So, you know what? I'm not a bad YouTuber. You're a bad, you should subscribe. And then, honestly, the only thing I did with all of these levels was finally upgrade my Phantom armor, so that now it actually has some enchants and it'll work for me. Hey, so remember how I mentioned the fact that I was gonna mess up recording? Yeah, that was, like, right now. Basically, when I was looking at my map again, I noticed a separate building that I could have explored, and I didn't even see it the first time. Well, when I went to it, it was basically the better version of a woodland mansion, and I was inside of it for a long time before I realized I wasn't recording, so that's, you know, that's on me. But at the same time, this place was extremely annoying anyway. You know, it was just all these illusionists and stuff. But it had really good loot. A lot of totems, a lot of, like, other things that I could just grab from here. But, yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, the stuff that I was getting from here was, like, diamonds, more dragon eggs, a ton of armor. Just things that I could, you know, use for later use. But I wasn't too excited about all this gear. Again, I'm more of a, you know, I want netherite kind of guy, especially since I have a lot of totems and I have so many diamond blocks at this point that it doesn't even interest me, except for the fact that I'm attracted to shiny. But still, the hardest part about this area was actually just conquering it due to the mass amount of mobs, but eventually I was able to defeat this entire woodland mansion. It was extremely fun, and I'm sorry you guys didn't get to see the very beginning, but I promise you that will not happen again for at least this 100 days. The only thing I have for you is subscribe, because that was awesome content, right? Not being able to see it. Anyway, by the time I got back, I had 3 extra totems, as well as a few extra books, some armor that I could get the enchantments off of, and a lot of iron and gold and diamonds, and even more Aether Dragon eggs. At this point, I'm going to start an Aether Dragon army. Next up on my list, I wanted to do one other thing for the last 100th day. I know I've already beat the Ender Dragon in this 100 days, but I decided to try and do it again. So I spent a couple days in the end trying to find some more blimps so that I could get more crystals. Why do I need crystals? Well, I need them to summon the dragon, so that kind of just makes sense, like logically wise. After a while, I did end up finding 3 crystals in total. 2 new ones from ships, and then I had 1 from the ship that I found my actual elytra in. Unfortunately, that is 1 short. So, I went to the end, killed my first ghast, and it dropped a tear, thankfully. Then I tried to craft a crystal, and it's a different recipe in this world. Apparently, I need a rose crystal instead of an Eye of Ender, so I had to go back into the end to see if I could find a rose crystal. At this point, I had no idea where this was, and I didn't even know, like, what biome it was in, if it was even in the end. I had no clue. So when I teleported back to the end, it was right next to me. Literally right next to me. I can't even make this up. I was absolutely thrilled to see that thing. And as soon as I got it, I was able to spawn in the Ender Dragon for our 99th day. Yes, that means I went back to the end, spawned in the Ender Dragon, and fought it for a second time in this 100 days. That is crazy. Can you imagine that timing? 100 days and I've defeated 4 bosses, one of them twice. And as I killed this final dragon, it dropped a dragon scale, which means I'm going to use that in my trophy room to symbolize a second dragon kill. Once I got home, I put the dragon scale on my wall and admired everything I had done in these last 100 days. If you guys do end up wanting 200 days, I feel like I'm gonna fill up this entire tower. Then I went around and said goodbye to each and every single one of my dragons. I started off saying goodbye to Boo, my Ender Dragon, and then walked over to Ace and said goodbye, and then I went over to Allie, my Water Dragon, who is my second ever dragon, and I think I actually rode the most. Then I headed on down my bridge to go say goodbye to my very last 2 dragons that I didn't even get to ride this series. Morgan and Spicy will be used in 200 days if you guys do want that. Make sure to comment it down below. And other than that, I hope you guys do enjoy this video. I am flying off into the sunset of the 100th day in a fantasy world. To all of you who watched all the way through this video, thank you very much. And if that subscribe button is not grayed out down below, please click that. I would love to see you guys join the channel. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.